Okay, if you haven't gotten your Workato drone, get your Workato drone. They're free, they're awesome, and they're great for cats. I'm Michael Kuhl. My name's not on there. Hey, but my website is. That's perfect. That's all that matters. I came up here to visit you from Austin, Texas, where it is considerably hotter than it is up here.
The barbecue is considerably better.
The barbecue is incredible. Incredible. I live just down the road from the world famous Salt Lake barbecue.
Don't brag about that.
It is, yeah, I'm gonna brag, man. Every time South by Southwest happens, if you're on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and you see these pictures of this incredible meat being smoked over an open pit, that's a Salt Lick. That's 15 minutes from my house. The crow flies. Anywho, so I came up here because I want to talk to you. I actually grew up in Connecticut, so I am a semi-native, and I'm loving actually getting a break from the awesome weather. So I am an Atlassian consultant. That's my website, KratoSoft.io. I'm going to talk to you tonight about data migration war stories. Has anyone had to do a data migration? Do you have a war story? Yes, you do. Did you try to do it with a CSV?
Why though?
Is that the reason why it sucked so bad? Yes, it was. Okay, so what I want to talk to you tonight is doing data migration, going beyond the CSV. We'll talk about some good ways to use CSV, and we'll talk about it for Jira and for Confluence. And we'll do a quick demo, and we'll see what's what. And I'll give you a sneak peek. We're going to use this product, Workato. But we're going to talk about other ways to do it as well. And you know, Ryan offered a great caveat to his presentation. It wasn't his, so I'm going to offer mine too. Guess what happens when you wake up at 3:45 yesterday to catch a flight up here? You leave your business cards in the passenger seat next to you in your car, and you leave your whole presentation as well. So we'll see just how good I am at building something off the cuff real quick. So that's my disqualifying. By the way, also, Project Configurator, I'm using it right now for a Jira merge. I'm not done yet. It's the first time I've used it. So if you want an honest assessment when I'm done, hit me up there and I will give you an honest assessment. And Ryan, I take checks.
We should be, we should be in touch.
We should be in touch.
Networking.
There you go. Okay, so let's talk about this. So, CSVs to the rescue? No, really, no. I mean, for one thing, let's see, how many rows do we have here? 47,001 in that one. How long does it take Excel to open up for you when you've got something that big, right? Yeah, so hope you don't have a lot of rows. Hope you love VLOOKUP. If you're trying to do any transformation of data from one system to another, and you're using a CSV, VLOOKUP is your friend. Does anyone not know what VLOOKUP is? So VLOOKUP is a formula in Excel that lets you add another tab, and you can make a 2 columns for a lookup. Okay, so you say this value translates to this value in the row. So when you've got, for example, status in that column F there, if it means something different in the other system, you get to make a VLOOKUP that says status of in progress means doing. And everywhere in progress occurs in here, change it to doing. Or you could do Control H and replace every single one of them. I mean, it's your choice. So, and the other thing about CSVs, whether you're an Excel lover, and there are Excel fans in this world, not one of them, but there are them. How many times do you have to keep doing it? How many times do you make one mistake in the transform of changing a little thing in the CSV? How many times you run the import in Jira's handy CSV import function and something goes wrong, and you have to go back again? So if things are simple, sure, or if you're using Trello, it'll work just great, okay? How often are things simple? Never. And also, I'm going to show you something here. Let's see how well clicking to a browser. Oh, come on. Work for me. Work for me. There you go.
We can't see
There's the guidance on Atlassian's website about all the things. What? I see it on mine. Hold on.
Doesn't have citation.
It's funny how that.
Right. Here is the guidance. Now you can see all my other pages. But here's the guidance. Where's that mouse? All the different ways you have to do special things to try to make a CSV. Yeah, it's an unnatural act. It's not cool. Okay, so let's try it another way. Let's try to visually map our fields. Let's try to actually transform the data, changing those status values, changing the names of issue types or whatever. Let's be able to not just do it in one shot. Here's my CSV, hope and a prayer that it'll load right. And let's actually make a way to migrate that's actually repeatable. What you're seeing here is a Workato recipe. I'm not going to make you squint. I'm actually going to switch over to looking at Workato, and let's see just how gracefully I do that this time. How many browser windows do you think I have going right now?
Too many.
Too many, that's right. So talk amongst yourselves while I figure out how to switch this. So that same CSV that I showed you in the screenshot, and that same one that is up here. So this is the CSV, test case coverage. And just trust me, by the size of this, it goes on. It goes on for a while. And it's not a Jira export CSV. This is from a product called Target Process, where I actually help someone move from Target Process over to Jira. So if we go over here, I'm just going to walk you through how I used Workato to make it much simpler. So I said, grab that CSV file. So as simple as I did is I said, CSV's over here. Here's the file. It's over here. Parse it. So here's where some of the magic comes in. Rather than me trying to bring it into Excel and try to mess with it, all I do, these are the column headers for the CSV. That's all they are. I just grab it, paste it. I'm done. I grab the first line CSV, I paste it, and I'm done. Here's the magic of what that does for me. I can now parse every single file, every single column in that CSV. I've got the name, I've got an example. It's all clearly laid out for me now. I can work with it in a way that I can actually visualize it. And then what I do is I come down here and I say, okay, let's go through every one of those lists, and I'm putting it in Jira. So I say, let me look up in Jira, do I have it? So there's some JQL. I'm looking in the RT project. Now what's this? That's the test case ID right from that CSV. So I just tell Workato, run a query in Jira for me in the RT project to see if this test case ID for that issue type of test case is already in there or not. You notice I'm not parsing CSVs, I'm not trying to suck them into the UI, I am just saying, take this CSV and let me play with all of the values there. And I just ask, did I find the key? If I didn't find the key, create the issue. There's my project, there's my issue type. Those very same values, I just map them. I just drag it right over. And just drag in the fields however I want to map them. If I want to go crazy, I can use formulas. I can transform things. I can make something that's all lowercase capitalized or mixed case. I can do math on it. I can do all kinds of checks on it. But here I go. I'm mapping my data between that CSV, assignee, parent, really whatever fields I want. In this case, these are all, I have 15 custom fields, and I'm just checking off which ones I want to move over. I know that it's going to map right because I'm visually mapping it just like there. And that's it. Take a CSV, make it download it, tell it what the columns look like, drag my fields over, and I'm done. So it can be done with a CSV, but here's the problem. Here's the problem with CSVs. Let me get back to my site. Oh, it worked. Thank you. CSVs make data perform on natural lags. When you've got data that's coming from another system that isn't perfectly flat, that isn't perfectly, this column has this value, this column has this value, it's lots of values, maybe it's got a hierarchy to it, maybe it's got multiple options to select. CSVs start getting really ugly and really hard to work with. They are made from basically back in the mainframe age, when data was simple. Our lives were simple. Our lives aren't simple anymore. So, what are we going to do? We're going to use the API. API, anyone not know what an API is? Perfect. We're going to grab, in most applications, either going to give you something called JSON or XML. We're going to cover both cases today. This is a real simple example of JSON. This is the actual JSON for that CSV, and I'm going to show it to you live as well. It's already easier to read. It's already easier to follow. JSON handles data much better. Let's go look. So this is that JSON visualized even better, because the way JSON is made to move data around in a modern way. So now I can see, oh, there's my test plan, there's my resource type, it's the same as Jeff. Okay, there's my dates, there's my priority. Here's all of my data here. It tells me all about it. It's much easier to read, and I can actually hand structures. I can actually break things out. Whereas in the CSV, it just can't handle that kind of structure. So I can do an even better job of migrating data from one system into Jira if that source system has an API and will give me JSON or will give me XML. So how did I do it in this case? Well, let's look at another example. So this is example in JSON. So we're still talking about test plans here, right? So I'm calling an API. It's just like calling a web page. There's my link. Just a special URL that will give me JSON. It'll give me exactly the JSON I just showed you. So I tell Workato, expect JSON. Then I tell Workato, here's an example of how it'll look. Looks exactly like what I showed you before. What does that magically give me whenever I scroll past this? Once I've done that, I can now work with that data. Again, I'm jumping down to where I'm looking up in Jira to see if that issue's already there before I make it. There's that same JQL we saw before, but check it. Now, let's see if I can scroll this down. There we go. It's those same easy way of adding values, but now it's pulling from the API. So now it is a true representation of the data, not some attempt at flattening it and trying to shoehorn it into a CSV. So what I'm able to do then is just tell Workato, here's my API, here's what it'll look like. Okay. When I want to create an issue in Jira, there's where I'm going to create it, map my values, and away I go. I want to run it again, run it again, run it again. No problem. I'm not constantly retransforming a CSV. I'm not sucking a CSV into Excel, rerunning all my find and replace, rerunning all my lookups. I'm defining that all in here. Now, so that is doing that in Jira. So, as you did, Ryan, I forgot to walk through this slide and describe it, but here's the summary. I call the API, I get the JSON, I loop through all of them, I look it up in Jira, update or insert in Jira. And I'm not programming. You saw those little steps were just real simple step-by-step. They're called recipes. I don't have to know programming. The only thing I've got to know, is for the source system, can you give me the example of what the JSON looks like? The documentation will have that, right? And what's the URL I hit? I put those two things in, Workato's going to lay it all out for me beautifully. It already knows Jira. I point it to Jira. As you saw, I didn't have to do a thing. I just say create an issue, and I just drop those fields in there, and it worked. So if I want to be able to do that migration without programming and without doing unnatural acts with the CSV, I'm using Workato to do that. Okay, so I need another drink here. I'm about to cough. All right, migrating to Confluence. I'm not even going to talk about CSVs with Confluence. Have you ever tried to take free text with God knows how many Unicode characters inside the text and try to make that fit to CSV? I know some of you have because you're nodding. It's no way to live. No way to live. And I refuse to live that way. I'm a free man. Okay, so in this case, we're going to go with XML. Now, we're not talking about the XML that Confluence exports, which is handy dandy, or the XML that Project Configurator exports. In this case, what I'm showing you here, although this is just a generic example of XML, but it is extra good. Whoops. This is a migration I did for a client from a product called Bloomfire. From Jira, it was target process to Jira in the previous example. This time it's Bloomfire. Bloomfire is a corporate wiki product. And what it did, what the client said is, look, I can hand you XML. Can you put this in Confluence? Yes, I can. That's my standard answer, by the way. And you figure it out afterwards, right? Isn't that how it always works? Okay, so I was not supposed to close that tab. I was supposed to click on that tab. Watch it not have my XML in it. Oh, you are so good. Thank you. Okay, so this is my XML from Bloomfire. It's, like I said, it's a competing product with Confluence. So, kind of looks similar to JSON. If you look over on the right, you see how it's illustrating. So I've got a organization called Funky Dividends that aligns with a space. Same thing as a space in Confluence. And if we scroll down here, you've got the create date, we've got who was the author. I keep going. Eventually there's actually maybe real content down here, but I forget quite where it is in the XML. We'll just keep going. Well, there's the title. There you go. There we go. There's the content. In this case, inside the XML, the content is in Another acronym, HTML. Who has tried to bring in raw HTML in Confluence? Just suck it right in. It doesn't happen. None of you have raised your hands because you can't. Okay, so we now have a transformation problem we've got to do here, right? Okay, well, so we're going to use Krakato again. We're going to have a recipe, and you're going to see a very similar pattern where I'm just going to say, grab me the XML, right up there, walk through it, and start creating pages. So let's take a look at how that worked. Different browser window. Pardon me while I move a window over. Okay. So this is where I moved from Bloomfire down. So what I said is, get me that XML document, same one that I showed you. Now that XML document had a lot of nested data. And that's another example of how CSV just can't do it, right? So there was a hash, and then every hash is an organization, and every organization knows a post, and then every post, oh, the post is what I want. The post is going to create a page in Confluence. So I can go through here, and again, look at that beautifully. I'm just saying, look, take my XML, let me loop through it. Real simple. I'm not writing code. I'm just saying, let me write through it. So I'm skipping over the mapping of the XML to the fields because it works just like the JSON. Let's talk about creating a page in Confluence. So I go in Confluence, I say I want to create a page, and this is all built in. Okay. I say, here's how the data is going to look in Confluence. I want to make a page. And here, that XML that we were looping through, there's those fields for me right there ready to use that I just dropped right in here. Krakato calls these pills and calls the whole thing here a recipe. You see what I did here though? I said, oh, I want to make the title of the page. I'm going to grab the title from Bloomfire, and the customer wanted me to add to every title the words Bloomfire archive, and they wanted me to put the ID of the original page in Bloomfire. So it says content, but the XML says ID, and then content's the actual value. So I don't have to worry about parsing through XML. I just say, look, here's XML. Parse it for me. Make it easy for me to grab values. So I did that. So I was putting in this space, BF archive. We go down here. This is the body. This is the Confluence page content itself. It's really complicated. I'm not going to explain the whole thing, except to say that this is a way to show you how you can use formulas. I did a lot of complex transformation here. Like for example, I had to get rid of some tags, some HTML tags from it. So I grabbed some content and I said, substitute the ampersand less than and replace it with a less than. I had to transform the values back and forth. I'm not going to try to explain that, just to say that yes, Krakato is very simple to use, but if you want to get hardcore, I assure you, you can get hardcore. So this is how I built the body. How I did this, what you're going to see is I actually took different parts of the XML and made it into a page. Well, let's look at the resulting page. So here's an example page from here. It's got the title. You see how I put Bloomfire archive. I took the original ID from the page of the system. I took the author, and I took the original data that was created, and I put it inside of an info macro. I took the subtitle and put it there. If he had given it categories, I put it there. And then this is the body of it that I put in here. Now, remember we talked about it was HTML inside that XML. How did I get the HTML in there? When I show you how, you're probably going to realize how obvious it was. This is actually what I wrote. There's your info macro. All I did was tell Ricardo, hey, take that HTML from the XML, wrap it in an HTML macro, and I'm done. That's all I did. Because you know how it said archive. They don't want to edit it anymore. They just wanted to migrate all their stuff from Bloomfire and then create new content ongoing in Confluence. So I told Ricardo, wrap all that XML that I was getting from it in an HTML macro, or rather wrap all the HTML in the macro, and I'm done. So I literally just told Ricardo, grab that XML, loop, 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 make page, 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 and I literally got on, we close this, I'll show you. I literally got on, I structured it so I had parent pages. I literally would go here and just watch my table of contents macro grow because Ricardo was just creating my pages for me. Ricardo is my secret weapon for data integration and data migration. I will try to say the brand name at least 5 more times for some reason. I'm getting repetitive here. Okay, so that's the product. Here's the cool thing. It's free. Miam. It's free Miam. Here's the thing. Let you have a little secret that Mike may not want me to say. This whole migration, I did it with the free version. No problem. And every capability I needed. All the capacity I needed to do it for free. But here's the thing, once you do that, you get addicted. And then you want us to do more things and more things. And what they want you to pay is when you start doing more volume. You're using it regularly. Like I use it, I did another client, and they just emailed me today to do it some more for them. I have Salesforce and Jira integrated. You guys don't have any Salesforce plugins, right? Good, because I'm not a fan of any of them.
No, we don't.
We don't, good. Any of the ones that are in Jira in the marketplace, I'm picky. They're not great. But Ricardo, 5 lines, 5 steps. Salesforce is talking to Jira all day long. Start doing those things, you start making it the way that you automate how your team works. You start using that automation for apps that talk to each other. That's when you maybe start paying for it. So by all means, grab it and make an account and try it for free. There's a ton of recipes ready-made. You just grab them and use them, including for Jira, for Confluence, for Slack, for HipChat, for everything. Here's the other free thing. You want to talk more about Ricardo? If you're trying it out, you want some help with it, or maybe with Jira with Confluence? Go to that URL. It'll give you a place where you can just book time. And let's talk about it. Happy to help you out. Love talking with everyone here at the OG, helping out with problems. Love doing that. Okay, I've talked a lot. Did I do 30 minutes, Greg? Okay, I'm gonna go for 35 or 40. Questions? Yeah?
Can you import images with the Confluence?
That is a fantastic question, and that is actually something I had to do. Let me jump back over to there. So, let me go back. Let me go back to that previous page here real quick. I'm going to show you how I did it. So some of these pages were images. They didn't need them embedded, so I actually added an attachment macro, and I attached them to it. So yes, you can. Now the way Confluence wants it done though, right, is they want you to do an attachment to the page, and then you have to do the markup inside the page to do it. But it's just the same. You just tell Ricardo, okay, attach the file, and then inside the file name is going to be the same, right? That you upload. So it's not going to change. You'll know the path to the attachment because you're creating the page. So you just put the tag in there and say, put this attachment in. So absolutely, you can do it. Other questions? Yes.
When you use Ricardo So for example, we have some sensitive documents that we want to migrate, and does it have to pass through Mercado servers as it's doing?
It passes through, but it never rests. There's never, unless you deliberately want to, there's not data at rest in Mercado. The only time there's data at rest is a feature I didn't go into. I used it, but I didn't go into it. It's called lookup tables. If you want to use some advanced cross-referencing, then you can put some data in there. But no, the data never rests in Mercado. All it is a middleware. Other questions? Okay. I'm here all night, folks. I'll answer more questions if you don't want to raise your hand. Thanks, Craig.